Liquid means rewind, the gunshot means forward. You requested it, so we rewind.
Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now. Because I've been to the mountaintop.
I've been to the mountaintop.
I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over.
It'd be nice if you could put that on the screen.
The promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Yeah. It's your boy, man, your baby mama's favorite, Kareem Jamal. I'm in the building with who?
Judah the Jew.
And we have a special guest with us. Introduce yourself, young lady.
Hello, my name is Bridget.
What's going on, man? And today is Dr. King's celebration, man. Was his dream fulfilled? That's what we're going to say today. Was his dream fulfilled? We appreciate everybody tuning in. We've been having a couple of technical difficulties, man, with setting up the show. But we're going to let y'all hear another piece of one of his speeches, and then we're going to get right into it. We appreciate the love, so let's do it, man.
And the patience.
What you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Yes, indeed, man. It's your boy, Just a High Vibration Show, and it's so unique. His birthday was when? Last Wednesday, right? This is like the 56th or 57th year of his death.
Yes.
So I thought it would be real honorable to address the brother. He had a lot of good points. He definitely was a worshiper of a higher power. I think he was sincere in his message, even though it got screwed up in a lot of ways. But I think he was sincere. You know, I think it wasn't exactly a money grab like a lot of these false prophets do. They lead the people, but it's to lead them to fulfill their pockets monetarily. I don't see that from him. He was a Georgia native. He went to Morehouse. He graduated, got his doctorate degree. I just learned today, too, his name was Michael Luther King, right?
Yep.
I guess he changed it to Martin after the prophet. But, yeah, how do you feel, brother? Do you think his dream was fulfilled?
Absolutely not. Some people feel as if, you know, things have progressed for us. I don't see it as that. For a select few, maybe, but overall, as a community, as a people, no, absolutely not.
Okay, well, I know a lot of people say that that due to the civil rights movement is the main reason why our people got weaker. You know, once
Well,
a lot of
integration
yes,
definitely weakened us.
And how so?
Okay. Back then, there were different businesses. Everyone had businesses that was in this country for the most part.
Yeah.
And when integration was passed, it eliminated, because we were so set on being accepted we would leave our families, our friends, to go and patronize other people's businesses, leaving us without money because we wanted to be seen at Woolworths or Sears and Roebucks instead of Mr. Jackson's corner store or Mr. Johnson's ranch house or whatever. We wanted to be seen. We wanted, like today, we want to be seen in Gucci and Prada and, I don't know, Donna Karan. I don't know. I'm not big on fashion like that. You know, I do my shopping at Goodwill and Walmart discount. You know what I mean? So I don't care about names at all. If it looks good and it fits me and it's inexpensive, I'm copping that.
Yes, sir. But do you think it's because of that, or do you think, well, integration was one thing. I could say that. But back then, we had our own businesses. We had we supported each other.
Exactly.
But I think once, well, they say, I don't think this, but they say when civil rights came and turned a lot of people to Democrats, once they achieved, the few achieved wealth, they sold the rest of the population out for their benefit.
Well, that too. I mean, think of the breakdown of the 85%, the 10%, and the 5%.
Yes.
Give me the science on that.
Well, 85% of our population is deaf, dumb, and blind.
Okay.
5% of our population is me.
Who's 5%? Tell the people. They don't know.
It's the makers, the owners, the cream of the planet Earth, fathers of civilization, gods of the universe. The same energy of the higher power is within us. In Surah 60, it says that the energy of God, he's closer to us than our jugular vein. And then in Luke, I think it's chapter 40 or chapter 4, it says the energy of God is within you. But the 10% is the bloodsuckers.
Exactly.
The 10% is the 1% of the population that rules the nation, that controls all the money, but only let us utilize 2% of the wealth. So I get that. But when we have our own people, like they say now, put your money together. And if you put your money together, you come together, we can change things. Well, if everybody on the planet put their money together, it's only 2% of the money.
That's true.
And 1% of the population owns 98% of the money. So
this is a fact.
So maybe that was a reason why the dream wasn't fulfilled. But I see a lot of older cats. Like my mom, when he died, was 14 years old. I see a lot of older folks say, due to civil rights and inclusion, that's what weakened our people. But I don't know. We had people. We had places like Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. We had Rosewood in Florida. We had a lot of different places where blacks was affluent and they had their own businesses. And they was even spots in Chicago, but they burnt them down and tore them down because of the threat.
Exactly.
But inclusion, I don't know, is that always a good thing? I don't see how. I get it. I think it's more or less, even to today, like you have artists. Let's break it down because we got a lot of Gen Zs watching. They let some artists in to break through, and they give them phenomenal amounts of success and money. And then the other artists that might be even better and striving to break through, they never do, or they never get appreciated monetarily like they should.
Right.
But you use those few to control the many. You can even look at it like R. Kelly or Puffy or any of those cats. Mm-hmm. I admit he probably did some bad things, but he didn't do as much stuff as they're saying. And like people like R. Kelly, he got caught before, you let him go. But once you start inquiring about money or you sued a 400-year-old company, now they break you down to your knees. As soon as Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC, you see what happens.
Michael
Jackson, once he obtained all of the publishing, 98% of national publishing, that's when he's messing with little boys and he's
stepping on Sony's toes.
But listen to this though. You have a lot of people that these folks did good for that can step up and say, yo, listen, I don't know about what he did. I can attest to what he did for me. And he did nothing but this, and that for me. And he helped me and he made me who I am. But they don't. Because that's the tool to control. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I
So-
know all about it.
So I think his dream was tainted by that.
Definitely.
They say Jesse Jackson sold him out. Did you hear about that?
Definitely.
You know, he was the main contributor to his movement. But as soon as he got his own Rainbow Coalition, he kind of like fell back. And you, as you see, and they said he was there and he stopped them from I guess, going from one hotel to another. He was like, yo, no, we want to go over here. Wanted him to go here. You got to be here at this time. Like, ushered him to where he can be at to get touch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. It's before my time.
Right.
I wasn't even born then. But I see that those things that he talked about still exist today. I think our people are more smarter. They're more affluent now than ever. But I can't say the civil rights was a bad thing. Now, inclusion, I was always taught to have your own, to love your fellow man. My mom's, she represented anybody's good. My pops represented anybody, any color, any race. If you believe in what I believe, if you Muslim like me, Turkey, they got over 2 million white Muslims. Places like China, it didn't matter about the race. It mattered about your belief. So, I don't know. It's hard to say, bro. It's hard to say, especially with us. Like we're the generation that grew up after that.
Right.
68. That's 4 years before I was born.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But I grew up in the remnants of that. Where I'm from, Newark, New Jersey. The day he was killed, they had riots in Watts. They had riots in Newark. They burnt down the projects where I'm from. 7th Ave, Hayes Homes, Prince Street. The projects I used to have friends that stayed in these projects, or I stayed across the street from the projects in Newark. From 1 to 6, people lived, but from 7 to 12, it was abandoned. If you ever seen Tretch first video, he was inside that 7th Ave projects. He was standing and it looked like a danger zone.
Yeah,
Dave Martin.
Ray.
Shout out to my man Light, who started me in music, who I wouldn't have nothing without Light. The reason I met Light, the day Martin Luther King's was assassinated during the riots, his mother was killed, shot 27 times by Newark police in the projects. And then he had to grow up in group homes, in foster homes. And when he came home, when he came out of the foster home, that's how I met him. He came to my neighborhood. So we was kids that grew up in those riots, burnt down buildings, dope fiends. That's when they introduced heroin to my neighborhood. Both of my mother brothers died of AIDS from shooting up heroin. My father went to jail in 74 for murder because of drug addicts. And you understand what I'm saying? So I don't know about the dream. I just know I grew up in the remnants of it. I think it was achieved, but we equate his dream to money. Now, I admit, due to I don't want to say the wrong words. Due to we have some cultures that control things like jobs and systematic racism and things like that. It does contribute to us not probably being further ahead as we should, but in this time, we haven't had more money, more wealth, more fame, more than ever before, I think.
No, not true. We were actually much more affluent during I believe it was the 40 years after slavery than we are now. But the focus, because of social media, television, cable, because of that, it would seem as if we are comfortable, but that focuses on a very low percentage. It focuses on the Jay-Z's, who's popular now. I don't even know because I don't listen to this new music and most new artists. I listen to artists as far back as the 50s through the early 2000s, and I mean early 2000s.
Yes, sir.
But because of that and social media and trends and fashion, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, Puffy will have you thinking that so-called black people have come a long way, which we have not.
Well, we did back then own banks and property and land,
Yes.
own businesses. We still do, though. Maybe not banks and things like that, but name a time when we didn't have more businesses. We got a caller in the building. What's going on, my brother? This is the owner of Battle League.
What's up?
Let
What's
them know
up?
who you
What's
are,
up?
man. What you do?
What's up, Kareem and Judah? I said that
Judah.
right. What's up,
Yes,
Judah and
sir.
Kareem, man? How y'all doing? And the lady back there, I see her also. Yeah, I got a lot to say on that. I got a little bit to say on what y'all talking about right now because I feel like we came a long way, the wrong way, and I also feel like it failed with the black people and the white people. And I just got a little situation how I want to say it because Kareem, okay, I own Barbarian Battle League. Kareem is the other half. He powered. A few years ago, we had an event called 420 Smoke the Pain Away. It was dedicated to our lost ones. I had somebody named Curtis Moss. I had somebody named Johnny Gilbert, and Kareem had somebody named
Sam.
Jordan Bryant. Okay. Curtis Moss was my cousin who got tied up and beat
If you
down
can hear
and
us,
killed.
your sound.
Device is ready to pair. Bluetooth mode.
Can y'all hear me?
Successfully.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, now we can. We lost you for about a minute or two. So
Okay.
you might want to start from the top.
Okay. So what I was basically saying is I felt that we went a long way, but it wasn't the right way. I feel like we lost on both directions, as far as with the white people and the black people. Now I own Barbarian Battle League. Kareem powers that for me. He helped me do that. We had an event a few years ago called 420 Smoke the Pain Away. It was dedicated to our lost ones. I had a guy named Curtis Moss, and I had a guy named Johnny Gilbert, and Kareem had a guy named Jordan Bryant. Now, the reason I brought that up because the two people I brought, this is how I felt like it failed. The first one, Curtis Moss, he was my cousin. He called the police because he felt somebody was trying to break into his hotel room on Valentine's Day. He just proposed to his fiance. Long story short, because I ain't gonna take up all the cast. Long story short, the police came there and ended up beating my cousin to death. They say on the newscast that he was 6'5" and he was acting rude. They didn't never say that he was in boxers and he was 150 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So that was tragic. We losing that as far as white people. They never changed towards us. Most of them. Everybody ain't bad. And Johnny Gilbert was one of my best friends when I moved to Atlanta. And another black boy shot him in the back for me mugging him. And he's on the first 48 right now. So we still killing each other. We like went a long way to get free. Fought to do this, but once we got here, we like turning on each other. We've been turning on each other for a long time. Like we got freedom
If
to
you
do the
look at
wrong thing.
statistics, they always talk about black on black crime. Sorry to cut you off. It's more Caucasians that kill Caucasians than blacks kill blacks.
Right.
Indeed,
We only 12 to
indeed,
14% of this country.
indeed. But we fought harder for us. You know what I'm saying? We got a whole path. We got Black History Month. We got, you know what I'm saying? We doing things to recognize what we doing. So, I mean, me being black, it just hit harder. You know, that's it.
Yes, sir. Well, what are things we can? How do you feel? Let's ask the feminine energy in the building. Bridget. She said, "Oh, she's kind of laid back," and I respect what she says. How do you feel about his dream? Do you think it was achieved or not?
She's
She
going to
said-
pass
she
on
said
this
she gotta
question.
pass.
I feel like I'm gonna.
She's so nervous. This is her first time, ladies and gentlemen, on the air. Don't be scared. You called in last week. You kicked it with us. Well, I don't know. Like you said, you made a good point, Judah, when you said after the Reconstruction, during Reconstruction times, we did have ownership. And I think we were more connected to each other as family.
We were.
We had both moms and pops in the but due to social economical issues, that was made. Drugs didn't just mysteriously fly into this country
Exactly.
and reach our neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? My uncles would have never probably been on heroin if it wasn't a common thing.
Right.
in
If
the
it wasn't
70s.
available.
Yes, and if it wasn't on every corner, even me growing up, like people would say, I'm from this block, that block. You hear the block where I'm from, it's like from a heroin block. They know you don't come over. You only come over here for one thing.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Or pills or something like that. But growing up like that, just because you, best way to put it, my mother used to say, just because you in the ghetto don't mean you are ghetto.
Exactly.
When you come home, you take those clothes off. You represent me when you outside. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think like, even if it's not, we don't have more money. We're not monetarily better. We have way more opportunities than they did.
Yes, we do.
And we're not that removed from it. Like you said, it's been 57 years. My mother was 14, bro. So she remembers times when she couldn't go to spots and eat, or she had to sit in the back at the movie. She tells me stories like that. Or my cousin that's a little older than her that went to Vietnam, he would sit there just because of where he's from and his color. He was drafted and made to go, and then got back for his country, got medals and valor and all of this. You did all this amazing stuff for the military, and you come back, you can't even get a job at McDonald's, bro.
Yeah, I've talked to several. Being a veteran myself, I've spoken to many veterans, and especially those in the Vietnam era, and many of them have shared with me that when they came back to the United States, they were spat upon in the airports, on the streets. If you were wearing a uniform and you were a melanated person, it was dangerous for you. Everyone's disgusted and mad with you, even though you just risked your life, your liberty, for the so-called country. I don't see it as fighting for the country, in my maturation. I look at it as fighting for a government, not a country, because the country is beautiful. The country has never done anything to anyone, any country. It's the government, the people in power who do things. And to touch on why we were so affluent, one reason was because we were, what people call slaves. I say that we were being humanely trafficked. Well, not humanely, but we were the product of human trafficking and kidnap. And what happened was we had skills because we were forced to work. So we had more skills than any other race at that time, any other culture at that time, because a lot of times I've also worked in the electrical field, and the foreman is usually the person who knows very little about the job. The journeyman usually know more than the foreman, even though the foreman may be a journeyman. But, the ones out in the field really know what's going on. It's just that the so-called foreman is what people refer to as the whip cracker.
Yes.
He's the cracker of the whip. He's going to make sure that everyone's working and doing what he thinks they're supposed to do.
Well, that's symbolic to life. In any situation, you have a hierarchy. You pay this one. That's what I was just saying. You give one a little more,
Of course.
and he's the one that's gonna keep everybody else in order. You know what I mean? We got one of our favorite guests just tuned in. There she goes.
Yes.
So how do you feel, young lady? She's a little younger than us, but do you think Dr. King's dream was achieved? Especially having a business like you had. You couldn't have a business like that during his time.
I think that it was achieved, but I still think we have a very long way to go. When you
Yes.
see people that are saying they don't vote just because when our ancestors fought for the right to go vote and they got beat, they got killed for that right, and people just not acknowledging certain things that are going on in politics. You have a man right now in the White House who definitely supported the Central Park Five. He wanted everybody to be lynched. We're going back into racism. He just said some crazy stuff during his campaign. Like,
But I think a lot of that is propaganda. Even back then, he apologized for that because not just him, the whole New York thought those boys did that. You
to
understand what I'm
apologize,
saying?
the whole New York, to apologize and say something doesn't mean you mean it or doesn't mean it's true. You could say it just
And
to say
and it works in reverse because you got to think like this. We're in a culture that's a shock culture. So a lot of these things, because I grew up in New York and I seen a lot of good that his family did. Like people don't talk about him buying skyscrapers and instead of going commercial and getting a lot of money, he made it subsidized for low income families and things like that. But I think a lot of that be just for the shock value. So you can talk about him to keep his name in the press. You know what I'm
or
saying?
what low income families did he actually source to go into his buildings? The demographics. I worked with him,
It
so
was
I
it
know.
was low income. It doesn't matter. I mean, most people
But
that's
who was
most
he
low income
supporting?
people in New York is black and Hispanic and Irish, maybe
But
Irish
that's
and
not who
Italians,
he let
but
in his building. Who did he let in his building? If we're gonna talk this, let's talk it for real now.
low income people you had to make,
But the
you know, and
demographics that he let in his building was not the blacks, was not the
I'm not
Hispanic.
talking about the Trump Tower. I'm talking about his father. Him and his father owned many different skyscrapers, but
They
they
did.
had skyscrapers in the Lower East Side, like over there by the Queens Tunnel,
Mhm.
where they could have took those buildings. They were slum buildings that his father owned. They were skyscrapers, and they wasn't up to code. So when he got in business, he got the buildings up to code. He could have easily said, I'm gonna make these commercial buildings or sell these to people, affluent people. But instead, he made them for low income people, for people in programs that's facing homelessness and things like that. So that demographic in New York is really mostly blacks, Hispanics, minority people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying he's the great white hope, nah. But I think a lot of the stuff that he does and says is for shock value.
But
He
even
got my vote.
when it comes to, I bet, even when it comes to shock value, even when it comes with shock value, just to gain the popularity vote, you also have to see what he's doing. So let's really talk. I worked in the White House with Obama, and then I worked there for part of Trump's terms. When you have someone that came and blatantly turned certain things into a racial situation, that blatantly did things to not put ahead black people or Hispanic people, to just definitely put ahead his own,
Well,
there's
who in
there's
power
different.
doesn't practice nepotism? But look at this. Not just Kodak Black. I know people in Harlem and in Brooklyn who had charges from my neighborhoods who had charges, drug charges that was nonviolent drug charges that got sent up for 30, 40 years. And he released them from prison. He let them come home. Even though I'm
But
not
what kind
saying it's a
of
good thing to sell drugs, but I personally seen him release black men.
You always sprinkle stuff like that on people for support, though. You
Yes.
release
I
people here
mean,
and
that's
there just so
we
you could
talking
get
about
people on your side.
politics.
So
There you
that
go.
happens.
We talk about politics, and then politics, I think is about voting for the lesser evil.
I agree to an extent. But you have to, if you don't vote, you don't have a say. You have taken away everything that Martin Luther King stood for. That all of those people that sat during the riots, that did everything, all of our answers, you've just given that away. You do not care.
Well, at one time we had to sit on the back of the bus. Now our people is driving the bus.
But some of our people gladly go to the back of the bus.
Well, that's
Lot of them.
culturally done. Because our culture, you want to, where I was from growing up, they used to do that because coming from school, that's the first place we used to go. That's where you could play your music without them saying nothing. Exactly. Or you could smoke your little bud or whatever you wanted to do. You could easily access the back door in case you wanted to get out in the quick, because it'd be packed, especially during school times. You want to get off. If you had to go to Broadway Junction or you had to go downtown to Broader Market and had to switch over to get on another bus, it was easier access to get off and, get to the next bus before the next bus leave you. But I get it. I'm just making examples. I'm trying to be the devil's advocate because I seen a lot of things he did that I was like, wow, and he said. But then I look at his actions. His actions is not really reflecting all that crazy shit he was saying. And just like Kamala Harris, she was a few years back, oh, I'm not black. My people was Indian. And now you running for office. Now you all of a sudden black. And you have at least 20 cases where you sent, as a prosecutor, black men that's just like me in my demographic to prison that was innocent. And you sent them to jail. Some had to do 8 years, 6 years before they finally got exonerated, found out they was absolutely innocent. And you did it to further your career so you can run for president. And then you running with a guy, Biden, during my era in the 90s, he's the one that created the crack law where you could get caught with an ounce of cocaine and get probation, but you get caught with an ounce of crack, you get 25 years. And he changed it because he know in the cities, that's who dealt with that. So he locked more black men up than. So it's how you look at it. I grew up in an era where I seen.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. Are you sure it was Biden? Because I thought it was
Biden, bro.
I thought it was Clinton personally.
No.
Because
Clinton locked him up and
Listen. The Clintons had a play in, especially their play was the Planned Parenthood. All our babies, not just that, running our black women to Planned Parenthood. They take the fetuses and sell them to scientific companies, and they was getting kickbacks off of that. But Biden created the law, pushed the law where the dope that we sold in our neighborhoods was considered a felony, where cocaine, where he knew that majority of non-blacks, I would say, use, and that kept them out of prison. But just because you cook, it's the same drugs as drugs. But because you cooked it up and it's more sold in the inner city and it affects urban people, you lock more people up. Those laws, I got homeboys that's just coming home now, and Trump released a lot of those cats from the 90s. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So even though he talked all that foolishness, he released a lot of black men from prison for never killed nobody, never touched. Only thing they did was got caught with a few birds of drugs. They sold drugs. That's not a good thing.
And they served their time too, because they probably did like a lot of time.
Yeah, but they never was coming home. They got life sentences. Sentences for these drugs. And the laws that was implemented was done by these same politicians. When he was a senator, this is when he implemented those laws, Biden. And when she was a prosecutor in LA, she locked up more black men than a little bit. You understand what I'm saying?
But I think you have it mixed up, because you're gonna get the credit for what you do in your cabinet and what have you.
But listen to this.
The term escapes me right now.
But listen to this.
You're not
if you lock somebody,
let me talk, bro. Let me talk.
Yes, sir.
When you're gonna get more credit as a president than a senator. The senator only deals with one particular state. So
Yeah.
whatever contributions Biden did, however big, small, good, bad, that's attached to one state.
But when
Whereas
you're
what
pushing
the
for a
Clintons
federal
did,
law,
what the Clintons did, affects the entire country, 50, 51 states, whatever there are now. So I think whatever Clinton did, and I enjoyed Clinton's run only because I made the most money that I ever made in my life, personally. But overall,
no, but that's a federal law. That crack law was federal. That was a federal law that he pushed. He was the main one pushing. That's a federal law that affected every state. That wasn't just in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. That was every state.
wasn't he senator of Delaware?
I'm not sure what state it was, but he was the main component behind the law of making it a felony for those drugs, those inner city drugs.
So
And the point I'm really trying to make out of all of this is that in politics, you're going to find good and bad in each individual. The point I was trying to make is you, like, even in our books, you can say, yo, in the Bible, I see a lot of good, and then I see contradictions. In the Quran, you say the exact same thing. I see a lot of good. So it's all about when you voting. I guess the lesser evil.
There you
know what
go.
I'm saying?
I'm glad you worded it that way.
I don't want to elaborate too much on the politics. I want to elaborate on his dream of how we got more opportunities now than ever before. We have a lot of old heads though that tell us due to integration and how can I say civil rights is why we're in the position we are today. I hear them all the time say we're weaker. Did civil rights break the black family up, or was it systematic?
It's a combination. And then of course, our choices have a lot to do with it also. The individual. You know, if I choose to go hang on the corner all day, every day with my pants hanging down, you know what I'm saying?
But a lot of cats
hollering
hung
at
on the
people,
corner.
but is that productive? Is that getting us anywhere? So that's by choice.
But
no one
a lot
forced us to do it.
of cats hung on the corner, especially where I'm from, because it wasn't no jobs. Nobody wasn't hiring teens. They took all the federal. We used to have things like the settlement house or the center or places where you can go and they would teach you job skills. They took all that out. Where you can after school programs where you took all that out. Then they implemented things. They put the drugs in the community. Then they implemented things like if you from a low income and your mother's not making no bread, she goes for assistance. You understand what I'm saying? My mother had me at 17. So no matter what kind of job she had, she needed assistance. But I remember those days that you get assistance. They'd come to your house. You can't have a man in the house. But yet, in rural white America, the farmers and their wives can still be together. They can still stay in the crib and still receive welfare. But in order for her, if she have a man in the house, when they come check, she loses her check. So that disrupted the black. So is it really systematically done?
Definitely.
Was it actually the civil rights movement? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's all of the above. Everyone had a hand in that evil. There was evil, more evil, and less evil, but all of it was evil, you know. And when even before I was of age, I believe in New York it was 15 and maybe 6 months, 15 and 8 months before you can get a job legally. You had to get working papers, and even before then, you know, I was at the flea market. I was at when it snowed in New York. Of course, you know, we get snow, probably a little less than Detroit and Chicago, but we get a lot of snow. I was out shoveling driveways, you know, your walk paths, washing cars, going to the store for Miss Smith, you know, Mr. Robinson. You know, I created my own job. And so, you know, I'm not going for the, you know what I'm saying, they're standing on the corner because there are no jobs. I'm not going for that. I'm not going for that.
Can I say something on
Unacceptable.
that? Can I say something on that? I think we gotta blame the parents because the dream probably was one, but it depends on what the parents doing with their kids because every generation is dependent on that. Like if I'm standing on the corner, I got two sons, they're gonna be on the fucking corner. Like you gotta teach them. Like my son is a firefighter right now. He's fighting the wildfires out there on the West Coast. That's what he do. He's only 19 years old. You know what I'm saying? You got to teach your kids how to do this. You just can't
All praises.
Yeah.
sit back and do anything. Okay, I came
And
up in
that's
the
the
streets. I
dream.
was
That's the
bad.
dream
I
in
had gun
itself.
charges, but I taught him not to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
gotta blame
And me
each other.
too.
We could change the world if the parents get on their shit. Like if the black parents get on their movements and really raise these kids right, we'll never have to deal with none of that. But we don't. We still everybody making this weird music. We all still selling drugs. We all smoking weed in front of our kids. We all doing everything. And that's what's killing
Yeah.
the whole vibe as culture, as us, and who the hell we is. Because
Yes.
we're not thinking.
I think that's a valid point. Like Charleston White said earlier when we was watching him. He
I
said it
hate it.
starts at home.
It
He said it
does.
starts at home. Yo, shout out to my homeboy Jesus right now. He's watching. He just hit me up. I see you, Jesus. He in there watching it with his lovely young lady. Tell little mama we see her too. Yeah, it starts at home. I think before you learn anything from anybody, you get knowledge from moms and pops. So, you know, in those eras, they separated the black family. But now, like you said, I
There's
think
no
that's the dream
excuse.
in itself. I grew up under conditions where we might have had, my mother wasn't, you know, when I got 13, she got a job, like I always say, martyr, but she drove a bus, 27 years. She educated herself, got her own high school diploma. But at 13, her mom's died. So it wasn't no going to school. It was straight to go to work. Right. You know what I'm saying? And she had me at 17. So those times getting assistance and you come down there, they want to look, grab me by my head and look in my ear and open my mouth. And we leave out of there, she cursing like I can't stand this. And I never heard my mother curse or nothing. So to hear her curse is like, wow. But she refused. She didn't want assistance, so she got out here and got it. We might have needed it at the beginning, but she saw, she saw that. And then having the you can't have a man in the crib, and what society don't need a man in the crib. So why would you give assistance to, you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, but now, like he said, like Lo said, growing up, I've seen things and done things that my kids can never fathom. They never missed a meal. My daughters work at AT&T and go to Georgia State, have all these opportunities now. So I think that's his dream in itself. I was the first person out of my whole family to go to college. The very first person out of all my ancestors to go to college. And now every single one, 5 of my daughters did.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
You the
So
one
that's a
who
dream
listen,
in
man.
itself.
You the
Huh?
one did it. You the one that did it, Kareem, man. Like you listen, like is it like another branch? It's like the olive branch. You branched out now. You taught your daughters right, and they gonna teach their children right. And
Exactly.
everybody got to keep doing it, though. Everybody got to keep doing that.
Exactly.
Yes,
As a
indeed.
community, which, you know, we get it twisted when one person is successful, and the media, the cameras are going to focus on that one success. But
Jealousy. And
how many people does one person represent? You know what I'm saying? If the Robinsons are doing great, what about the Jacksons, the Johnson, the Smiths, the Ellens, the Allens, you know what I'm saying? Everyone else. Like for every Michael Jordan, I'm sure he's not the greatest or never was the greatest on the planet, but the spotlight was on him. He had that camera time. I believe in I think it was Jadakiss's song, Why? You know, he said, why is there a brother up north better than Jordan who didn't get that break? So
And if
the
you ask
focus
Jordan, he
is
said it
on
was his
the
older
minority, you know, the 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 success stories. But for every, you know, one success story, you know how many failure stories there are that there's no cameras on that we don't know about unless we know them personally.
some good, some bad.
So I guess what we're saying is to fulfill his dream, we start at home.
I definitely agree with that. and it has to be as a unit. You know what I mean? And we have to be on the same page. I mean, let's look at cultures, and even if you want to say spirituality, religion, different things like that. Our people, who's on the same page. I don't care what. There are few cultures. Let's say East Indians. The majority of them may be Hindus, but especially with our people, we're all over the place. We are all over the place.
Well, we
You're
were
absolutely
robbed
right,
for a
because I
lot of
don't even
things.
know exactly what I am. So you're exactly right.
Case
I
in
don't
point.
know. I believe in certain things, and I think certain things don't make sense to me. So
Well, I believe this. You could take different paths through a park and get to the same destination. Um, Islam only means worshiper of God. You're a Hebrew. You worship Yeshua, worshiper of God. Hindus, worshiper of God. How many gods is it?
I think a lot, but I'm not
There's only
certain.
one.
I don't
There's
want to
only
jump
one
out
God.
there.
No matter how you identify him,
that's why I just believe in a higher
the
power.
best way to explain it is that light. You could take this light right here that's on us right now. I can take this light and break off a lot of different lights from this light. But that source, that Elohim, that foundation is only one, bro. It's only one. Being Muslim only means a worshiper of God. It's only one God. So we all are. If you have if you have a belief in God, then we all are on one common accord. I know what you mean, though. We all should be Hebrew, or we all should be Muslim, or we all should be on the same page. But to get there, like you said, it starts from home. But I think just worship God first, and that's a start. You know what I'm saying?
Well, just to correct you, with many people have been misinformed. And I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Being a Hebrew, it has 0% to do with religion. Nothing to do with religion. It's culture and heritage. You know what I'm saying? We deal with history. We deal with commandments. That's where we differ from a lot of spirit-based groups and religions. We are not a religion, and
Yes,
at
indeed. But
least
you still,
99%
but you
of
still-
religions,
but
you
you
know,
still
of people
worship
will
God.
tell you. But it has to
You
do with
uphold
our
God's
relationship
commandments.
with the Most High, you know. But it has nothing to do, like if you had a history with your people, like the what they called Native Americans had, you know, where your history, your culture was passed down through the spoken word or drums or some way, somehow, and it's passed on and passed on and passed on. It's not really a religion. And see, that's a major difference with Hebrew Israelites. We're a culture, you know, versus a religion. Now, we do assume a higher power, which most religions do, but that's part of it. So that's the major difference with Hebrew Israelites and other religions. Whether you practice or not, you may not know that you're Hebrew. You may not know that you're Israelite. But if your father was an Israelite, you're an Israelite. Whether you're a good one, a bad one, indifferent one,
Yes, it's just
a
like
knowledgeable one or not, you are by blood. You are an Israelite. For instance, you may say that you're a Muslim because you practice Islam, but you know, through DNA, through the blood, you are actually a Israelite.
But the point I'm trying to make is, when you say religion only means a way of life. When you break it all down to the most common form, is Muslim only means worshiper of God. You just sat here and said, as an Israelite, you follow the laws and commandments of who?
The Most High.
The Most High is who?
It's the you can't get any higher than that supreme being of all the universes, the world, the galaxy.
Because denominations and fractions and all that is separation to accommodate his dream, as we were talking about. The most common ground is Yeshua. We could say that name. It's still God, bro. Jesus was his God's son, but you understand that energy, that Trinity, that whatever you want to name it. That I'm just trying to minimize. I know you know who you are, and I'm not trying to minimize what you believe. I'm just saying for our listeners, that's a start. You know,
it is a start, and to recognize the Most High is all you have to do is walk in the mirror. You know, I'm going to speak for myself here. I hope I can speak for most of our listeners. I have an internal right and wrong switch. Before anyone tells me something is illegal or wrong or immoral or unethical, I can feel it. I'm sensitive like that. So, you know, even if it's, you know, taking a pen home from work, this one of the jobs that I work now, you know, I found myself with like 13 pens at home one day. And I told my manager, I said, listen, I have a gang of pens at the house. I have to bring them in. And they were like, don't sweat it, you know. But to me, you know, that's stealing. You know, I didn't do it purposely. You know, maybe I had it in my pants pocket, my shirt pocket or whatever. But I didn't pay for those pens. They didn't belong to me. And I had them in my custody. So little things as that, because I'm built different. I'm wired different. I want to be the best at everything, the best father, the best son, the best cousin, the best grandfather, nephew, uncle. I want to be the best. I want to be a reflection of the Most High. So when people look at me, they're inspired to make better choices, better decisions, to live righteously as we lived once upon a time ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I agree. And we try to each and every day, both of us. He encouraged me to, and I hope I encourage him to be, you know, as the foundation. They say that we are the foundation of our family, like the sun is the foundation of the solar system. My job as a man, I'm symbolic to knowledge and the sun. So the sun reflects positive energy at all times, even when it's nighttime. The sun still shines.
Yes.
And my job is to reflect positive energy on my wisdom, my earth, so she can reproduce and grow. And her job will be
that earth. Everyone doesn't understand earth.
Well, earth is symbolic to wisdom, and wisdom is symbolic to the black woman. That is secondary but very necessary to the black man. As you reflect positive energy to your mate, whoever you choose, your mate receives that energy, and she takes that positive energy and reproduces and nurtures and grows your child. And in the same instance, she rotates around you. The earth rotates around the sun to keep the sun in orbit. If the earth didn't rotate around the sun will fly off into the solar system. You know what I'm saying? But due to that symbiotic relationship, it creates understanding. Knowledge and wisdom creates understanding. And understanding is the best part, the child. That's the ability to see things for what they are, not for how people present them to be. So even though me and my brother, we might practice two different, I don't want to say religion, two different ways of life, we still have one common bound. I might look inward and he look outward. The same energy that the energy that we possess, or I don't want to say worship, that we believe in, is the same energy. And that energy is most people don't like themselves or down on themselves because they look at themselves from a state of monetary, or I should be like this person, I should have this much fame. But just existing is a blessing. That's the God himself gave you that. Out of millions and millions of sperms, Judah is right here standing here reflecting positive energy. out of millions and millions of sperms and millions of ancestors before me, I'm here at this present time and date reflected. So, like I said, not to minimize our beliefs, your higher power could be his dream come true. You know what I mean?
I'll go with that one.
To get all of our people on the same order. I don't think it's never going to be, even in the Bible, the Tower of Babel, when the tower fell. When they built that tower, it was because, I don't know, some people say the Anunnaki and things. I don't want to go that far with it, but they were searching for something. And when it fell, that's when they created different languages and different beliefs and different, because he was like, this can never, happen again.
So before it fell, he gave them different languages, different tongues. And that was part of the demise because they couldn't communicate. And perfect example of that is marriage. Bingo. Hello. You say you love this woman. This woman says she loves you, but you guys communicate is ineffective communication. So, people say communication is key, but not just communication, but comprehension. Because, okay, we both speak English, but really, we're speaking two different languages. There was a book that came out in the 80s or 90s, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Something like, we speak different languages. Now, you see on dating sites, they have your love language. And everyone has a different love language. Some people want adoration. Some people want flowers. Some people want money. Some people are okay with a forehead kiss. So we speak different languages, and that's what's happening. But there should be one common language.
And what language is that?
Love.
Exactly. I was always taught that love can conquer over any other.
Multitude of sins.
Yes. So we got Bridget here. I'm trying to get Bridget to say something. You ain't gonna say nothing, Bridget. We got 6 minutes left on this platform.
Let's do it.
Say something. Address our people. At least say hi.
Peer pressure.
She's nervous.
No, I really enjoyed. No, I know lots of pressure. No, I've just really enjoyed the show. I won't be so shy next week.
Okay, that's what's up.
But it is nice to see, and I could actually recognize
E. Yes, she is
from last week.
she is a stable here. She is one of our voices of reason, especially that feminine energy. E is our girl.
We love E.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we do. She gives us that good female perspective.
Maternal, very intelligent maternal perspective.
That's what's up. So I think we should go into another one of his speeches, which I think. We know it's not his birthday, so for all the people, and we got to shout out everybody's favorite OG. He in the building. He playing the background, but OGP is in the building. You know what I mean? He was born 3 years. You was 3 years old when he when Martin Luther King got assassinated. Yeah, he was. Huh? Yeah, he was 3. P was 3 years old when Martin Luther King died.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I thought he went to school with Moses.
Nah, P was 3, but I mean that shows you right there. We're not that far from it. Like I told you, my mother was 14, so it's we those times when things were segregated. We're not really that far from it. Yeah, that's not really that far. So facts. One generation away. Well, if you count our kids, maybe say 2. But that's it. That's it. Yeah, us. We only one generation away. Yeah, that's what I was telling them. We grew up in the remnants of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy. But you got some shout outs, my brother?
Oh, always. I got to shout out Mishpaka, which in Hebrew means family. So I want to shout out the Hebrews and Shebrews of Israel, or Yasharal. I want to shout out the parents who are struggling, fighting for that check.
Yes, sir.
Humbling themselves on their jobs, because people are losing jobs nowadays. And it's less than one paycheck away from poverty. It's less than that. You know, I miss meals sometimes, but I still find myself blessed and consider myself blessed and in high favor of the Most High. But shout out to the people who have learned how to humble themselves and tuck the tail and walk away, because we win in the end. You know, the story has been written, and in the end, the righteous win. So stay righteous, stand up, stand your ground, be humble, obey those commandments, get yourself right spiritually, and all else will fall into place naturally. I salute the men out there, especially those who have
The real ones.
been the real ones, the ones who have been through hell and high water, those who have been in the murky waters and still keep pushing ahead. Mike Tyson had a quote, and I can't remember it verbatim, but he said something to the effect of, everyone has a plan until they get hit. And, you know, people like me, I'm hit all the time. I'm always bobbing and weaving. But because I have a plan, and my plan coincides with the plan of the Most High, I have some things to leave behind for my children. So I keep it pushing. I'm a humble person, and I've learned humility over time. I wasn't born with it, but I have it now because if you're familiar with my story, I've been in some very dark places. And alone is nothing for me to have been alone. Story of my life. Don't like it, not comfortable, but it is what it is. I tell you what, he never leaves me, and he's the one who will never leave or forsake me. So I keep it pushing under his power. So all praises to the Most High.
Yes, sir. As of me, I would like to give a shout out to Jesus and his daughter they watching, but really I want to give a shout out to Marcel and Dinka, my mother's husband. It was just his birthday. I was at his house yesterday, celebrating his birthday and his retirement for 26 years of working. So big up to him, man. And Lo, what you want to say before we sign out, bro?
I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to a bunch of people who stould tall since 91, 91, 92, 93. The Bills Mafia. Y'all catch us on the stage, man. Y'all catch us out there, man. We doing our thing, man. Y'all gonna see us. We doing big things. Yeah.
He was doing good.
Hey, edit that out, someone.
And he got his name on the back of their
Yeah,
jacket.
shout it out, man. We out here,
I thought
man.
he was getting ready to give a
I'm
real
a part of the
quick
team.
Yeah, you know he's a committee, but that's good. He is from Buffalo,
That's
so
what's
he
up.
can get that.
shout. You representing.
That's what it is, man. So we gonna go out with this speech, man.
What up, baby boy?
So the dream is alive.
Yes,
we
sir.
just have to get on the same page. We may be in the same book, but family, let's get on the same page.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna sign out with this, man. We appreciate it. Same time, same station next week. You heard?
Because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. I've looked over. I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory.
We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
BLDradio.com.
Like we said, man, same time, same station next week, man. If you want to get your own podcast, hit us up. 404-468-7254, or hit us up at bldfilms@gmail.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Matter of fact, tap your baby mother. She'll tell you all about us. You heard? We out of here. Peace.
Favorite.
Shalom.